So what are there any tips for like eating out? Because we all enjoy a nice meal out, maybe with the family. We don't want to be the person who's always like me bringing my own little Tupperware, not to restaurants. But what about any tips when you go to a restaurant, no matter what kind, but like any tips that you can give us in terms of eating healthy when you go to a restaurant?
Well, number one, again, I would pick out the protein. I always tell people to scan the menu before you go there. So at least you have some idea and you know what questions to ask. So first you got that settled. And then, I mean, if you have to, I tell my clients, to be honest, to tell them they're allergic. And so get the vegetable steam, get real olive oil, bring me the dressing on the side, or real butter. So as much as you can. I mean, it is a challenge. Obviously, finer restaurants are going to use better ingredients, but we want to have the flexibility to go wherever with our friends and make the best choices. So those would be the big things of what they're cooking in. So obviously, which you're not eating anyways, French fries are like an absolute like no.
So those are really good tips. I do that same thing. I actually always scan the menu ahead of time. And one reason is because I am gluten-free and plant-based. And a lot of times, I have to see this, do they even have something? But I love your tips. So, getting vegetables steamed. It's like I think here's the thing. I think, let me know what you think about this, Bonnie, because I think your moniker is like health rebel, right? Or rebel.
Healthy Rebels is the
Healthy
name
rebel.
of my, yes. And underneath it, this is my book coming up. It says, live well, lose weight, defy a world that makes us fat. Because that is, like I'm saying, I feel like it's our environment. I mean, look around 50 years ago, we would be thin and healthy and we didn't have these issues that we currently are struggling with. And of course, it's not just vision, it's everything else, but everything is connected.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. Eyes, and I always say it's not about this. This is attached to everything else in the body. I
Yes.
love healthy rabbit. I think this is I absolutely love that because, maybe my mom would always say, what do you eat? Like, why do you have to be so complicated when we eat out? And I'm like, I'm the healthy rebel. I stand up for myself. I want to see well. I want to be healthy. And if I'm the inconvenient person, that so be it, right? But I also, so I totally love that because we do have to stand up for ourselves because otherwise, we are that, what is it in Harry and Sally, I think, in that movie where she's like, oh God, she's the one with this and this and this. But I think it's important that we, and sometimes educating people on the way. So do you have a good story? Do you have a story about you work, you obviously working with lots and lots of clients. Do you have a story where you felt like that them changing their diet really helped them with their vision?
Yes, I actually have one story that it was quite dramatic and I was surprised myself. So he came to me just because in his words, he felt that he was fat. Okay. He was about his late 70s. And he proceeded to really follow along with my diet recommendations, which I would also say I'm very much into a low carbohydrate Mediterranean style, if I would give a name to the diet that I prescribe, but certainly low carbs for sure. So he lost 50 pounds, and sure enough, he went back to his doctor. He had macular degeneration, the kind that you would get the shots, and the doctor said he no longer needed them.
That is
I was like,
absolutely amazing. I mean, that's amazing, Bonnie. So basically those shots, and by the way, the shots, we talked about it last month on my show on AMD, they don't actually improve anything. First of all, they're aggravating. They just stopped the decline. So he didn't need the shots anymore. So that's really incredible. And so he said he came from the belly fat or
yes.
I love, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what gets us to the thing to make a change. The key thing is that we have, awesome. Anything else? Do you have any other stories?
I would just say that, many people do come to me because they are troubled perhaps by belly fat, especially after a certain age. But the amazing thing is is that they realize how it impacts positively every area of their life. And so I guess my message is that we do understand now, although we have doctors for every different specialty known to man right now, every single part of the body is connected. So yes, having now belly fat, a more technical term, I want to say would be called visceral fat, which is very inflammatory and really does indicate something, again, insulin resistance, which, as I mentioned, I am familiar with. But this actually impacts, the small vessels in your eyes, everything. We know, diabetic retinopathy. It just makes sense that it all goes together. So that's what I would say.
You're absolutely on spot. I think, like you said earlier, we take our eyes for granted, and a lot of times we don't connect the eyes to like our heart health, our diabetes, all these other things that we have going on. So I would love to ask you this, because we have so much nutrition information out there right now, right? It's literally bombarding us, and there's this camp and this camp, and you touched on that a little bit in the beginning. But how do you guide your clients to distinguish between helpful advice, right, and what are just trends that might not actually offer any benefits to them?
Well, first of all, you need to look who is giving the advice. What are their credentials? What is their lifestyle like? Who have they worked with? And does it make sense? Like, just because, like, a lot of clients that come to me, let's just say are middle-aged women, and if a 30-year-old young guy who's in fantastic shape with a six-pack is doing some intermittent fasting, it might not work for you. It might not be the same thing. That being said, and so I listen to many people myself. I do get a lot of information, but and obviously when things are repeatable, or if they have research that backs it up, because anyone can say anything now. That's the problem. And I think keep it simple. If you would just do this one thing, think about what your grandmother, or maybe even just your mother, or what you ate, depending on your age, when you were 8 years old. If you would just think back about that when we were much healthier, I think this is, we've overcomplicated it with so much information, to be honest.
What do you think about portions? Because I've seen these graphics where, the kind of the bowl of spaghetti, let's say, whatever we ate in the 70s compared to what we eat now. And especially in the US, I'm from Germany. And when I moved here, like everything, the fridges are twice as big or 3 times as big. The containers are 3 times as big. I was like, so what do you think about that idea? I know in Japan, I forgot what they call it, but that idea of 80% full. So what do you think about that in terms of
So what I do, which I think is, it seems to work really great, and it's a much easier way to think about all this. I don't have people count calories at all. But what we do is we focus on, again, getting in the protein, because that is really going to satiate you, getting in the vegetables and the healthy fat. So when you start eating the foods that you need to be eating, it's like a non-issue. And if you want that starchy treat, you're going out to dinner, let's just say, and they got really good bread there. Okay. You know what the trick is? You want to save it actually for the end of the meal. After you've had some food in there. So yeah, I tell people they can have the pasta or the pizza, but you're not doing that for your dinner. You're having it with it.
I absolutely love this. Like overall, when you think, you have like 2 or 3 decades of experience, right? So what do you think has changed in those last 20, let's say 25 years, especially like the public perception on diet and food? Because we also have that food, like what's it, the food pyramid, or the plates, the guidelines thingy, but what have you feel like has changed around diet, and also how we think about our vision?